And it's a great question, and I think every agency owner is different, right? Some of them need to fund their retirement, right? Some of them just realize that they don't want to go in anymore and do, wear all the different hats that you have to wear as an agency owner. And then there's also recently, 2 years ago, one of the best purchases we've made was a younger agent. She was part of a small team of four people, and she wanted to be part of something bigger.
Welcome to Insurance Shoptalk. This is the podcast where the world of commercial insurance gets a little closer to home. I'm your host, Eric Stein, and in every episode, we're taking a deep dive into the insurance industry. From the latest news and trends to in-depth interviews with insurtech experts, carriers, and agency newsmakers, we're covering it all. So sit back, tune in, and let's start the conversation. Hey, Marc, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Eric, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate you
Absolutely.
having me
Happy
on.
30th anniversary, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. Hard to believe, hard to believe. Yeah, 1996, my father started. I was just a young kid, and here we are 30 years later.
That's fantastic. Well, everyone, I'm glad to have Marc Duffy on from Duffy Insurance based in the Boston area. Marc's done a ton of acquisition activity, and this is the first time I've met an agency that's done this amount of acquisitions. It's not private equity backed. So this, I think, will be a nice, unique conversation of kind of doing a family-owned style of how to integrate and work through acquisitions and building cultures, at agencies. So Marc, why don't you kind of jump in and let us know a little bit about your background, how you got started in the business, and the philosophy you have now in regards to growth.
Sure, absolutely. And Eric, thank you again for the opportunity to be on with you.
Absolutely.
So I started, coming in high school and college after my father started the business. Like I said, 1996. I was doing sort of, all sorts of jobs at the time, ranging from taking Polaroid pictures of the properties that we insure to filing to, everything in between. So I grew up in the business. My father had started in 1996. He had purchased a small book of business from an agency that he had been working at for 25 years at the time. So that's when Duffy was born. I went to Bentley College here in the Boston area and graduated in 2006 and jumped right in head first. And here I am 20 years later working in the business.
And you guys offer all lines as well. Is there a certain mix between commercial and personal lines, or is it like split down the middle?
Sure. So the agency writes about 65% personal lines, 35% commercial lines. Of that commercial lines, we have a very wide range of customers, ranging from just, one-man bands all the way up to some large PE-backed firms with 500 or 600 employees, and really everywhere in between. I know the term generalist isn't always the best thing to say, but we are a generalist. We do a lot of small commercial, kind of middle market and lower. But we do have the ability and the people to handle some of the more complex risks as well.
That's great. That's great. I mean, how many employees do you guys have now with all the locations?
Yeah, so right now we have 11 Massachusetts locations and one location in New Hampshire. Across those 12 locations, we have about 80 people and growing.
Wow, that's great. And then from talking to you a little bit earlier, you mainly focus on growth in that Massachusetts, New Hampshire area for acquisition and just, organic growth as well. And so you've obviously purposely focused on that geographic footprint, I assume, to keep the carrier footprint, viable. And then you tell me other reasons why you chose that, because a lot of folks will just buy, from any location in the country.
Sure, sure. It's a really good question. So I have looked at opportunities outside of that northeast quadrant of Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire. Mainly in Massachusetts, a couple in Connecticut and Rhode Island. And ultimately, we've decided to stay in this area for now, unless there's something really attractive that would bring us outside of this area. There's a lot of great agents in Massachusetts, especially in our area. And I think it's the growth is always a challenge. Anytime there's an acquisition, there's just a lot of work, a lot of effort that comes along with it. We literally just closed on one this past Friday, and we're in that mode of sort of pulling everything together. And I think when it's closer to home, it's more manageable. So we've been more aggressive here locally. So that's not to say we wouldn't go outside of that area. It's just to say that there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of good agents up here, and we've really stuck to what we've known, and I think it has helped us manage the growth.
That makes sense. And then because you're so strategic, I think on how you're doing the acquisitions, like is there like a sort of almost like a checklist of what the ideal scenario you're looking for in
Sure.
buying an agency? And then do you want the owner to stay, or if they are wanting to exit, are you fine with that? Like what's the model, if you will, the business model of what you're looking for?
Sure. Again, good question. So we really have to be flexible, right? The reality is, and everyone knows that the PE firms have more money than, they have endless supply of money for the most part. So we have to be a little strategic, and we have to be flexible in certain ways. And that can be with the owner and their role pre and post merger. It also, we have to be more flexible with the terms. So to sort of I think answer your question, what's our formula? And I would say it always starts with meeting the owner. And the initial call can be a phone call, it can be a Zoom call, but I always take the time to go out and sit down with the owners that we're potentially going to be buying or merging with. And that goes a long way in helping to see if it is going to be a fit. And if we want, how flexible do we want to be, quite honestly? Maybe it's not a good fit for Duffy. Maybe the owner is, looking to retire, or wants just everything up front and to move on for whatever reason. If it doesn't fit, that's okay. But I want to go out there and meet with the owner first and foremost, and sit down, have a coffee, have dinner, have a drink, whatever, and really get to know the owner on a personal level. Over the years, and we talked a little bit about this. We've built a great culture here at Duffy. We have great people, so I'm very protective of the people that we bring into the culture, bring onto the team. So it really starts with getting to know the owner.
And then if they want to exit, as long as they don't want a huge sum up front, that's okay with you in most cases, or it just depends?
It really depends. And one of the great things we have a couple great lenders that we work with that if the owner does want everything all cash at close, we can do that. Due to the Massachusetts tax situation, owners are asking more for retention or earnouts, whatever you want to call them, payouts. So we can do both. We have the backing, the financial backing to do the 100% cash, but that's getting less common now in recent years here.
That makes sense. And then from a culture perspective, like what have you like maybe talk about some mistake you've made in bringing some
Mhm.
people in by inadvertently, and then how you kind of were able to correct that, or weed them out once the acquisition was done. Like talk a little bit about some of the errors, then how you correct.
Sure. Yeah, I could talk to you and tell stories all day about mistakes that we've made in mergers and acquisitions. And I'll tell you, one of the very first ones that I did was an agency, a good sized shop that had been around forever. And they had a team of four people, and I was very excited to get the deal done. And when we went in there and met with the staff, because we always meet with the staff about a week or so before or even in some cases longer before the closing, just to introduce ourselves and sort of share the Duffy story. So one of the mistakes that I made early on was going in and sharing with the staff that nothing's going to change. You're going to come on. We're a family agency. You're a family agency. Things are going to be the same. And I think in my mind, nothing was going to change in terms of the culture, in terms of that, personal feel, that Main Street feel. But the employees, and rightfully so, heard that they're just going to keep doing things the way they always had. So that's a mistake early on, is sort of, um, looking at it not from necessarily their shoes, but from my shoes of like what does change really mean? And the employees of any agency that's purchased, it's a very, very anxious time for them. They're in a lot of cases going to come on board to the acquirer, and they don't know the acquirer in most cases, whether it's a PE firm, whether it's Duffy or another buyer. It's a very anxious time for them because in a lot of cases, like I said, they've worked for this agency for a number of years, and it's a fear of the unknown, and they've really done things their way for a number of years, and I think that sort of anxiousness is something that you need to address head on, and you need to be, very open and honest about the plans for changes and how it's going to benefit the overall agency and customer base.
No, that makes sense. So, yeah, that's always the common um, line when someone comes in to buy. Nothing's going to change. And
Sure,
I think
sure.
people are getting wise to that one. And so, and
Yep.
then on that note, like what does change? Do you require everyone to come onto your agency management system under your name and logo, and your processes eventually?
Yes, so we've evolved. I hate to say this. I literally said this the other day to the staff of the agency that we just purchased. We're in growth mode, and each as we continue to grow, we're at a different we're at a different phase, and it's unknown. So we're sort of just making it up as we go along, for lack of a better term, right? So our ideas and some of our stances have evolved as we've made more and more acquisitions. When we first started doing acquisitions, we wanted to keep the name the same, the agency name, and just keep it separate for retention purposes. Okay, why are we going to change it to Duffy Insurance when Smith Insurance has a really good name, and their customers are loyal to that name? And if we switch it to Duffy, we're going to potentially lose customers. That was our initial stance. But after having gone through the process and done so many of them now, it was just wasn't practical to keep 7, 8 corporations open, and just to keep the name the same. So that's one example of something that we do change. We do change the name to Duffy. Something that we've evolved to do. We certainly, again, at the very early acquisitions, we would buy them and keep them on their separate management system, but that just is again not practical and doesn't take advantage of scale. So now we have a process where within the first 6 months, we begin the process of a system conversion. We convert to whatever, if they're on an agency management system. Some of the purchases, believe it or not, have not been on any management system, but when they have a management system, we will convert to our management system, to our phone system, to our Microsoft 365 account, to our Teams. All of that stuff happens within the first year. And that really helps us um, from a managerial standpoint, from just taking advantage of our size and ability to help from different offices. I mentioned that we have 12 different offices. As you can imagine, if we had 12 different management systems, it'd be really hard for somebody from one of the offices to help another office if they were on different systems or different management systems or different phone systems. So we're very much looking to make those conversions first year, year one, and it's worked. It is a painful process. going through that, but I'm happy that we have because it certainly does help us be more efficient overall.
Hey everybody, it's Eric. I just want to pop in for a quick announcement. Exciting news. I just launched my new book on Amazon. It's called The Blueprint: An Insurance Agency's Unconventional Rise to the Top. And it goes through a little bit about how I built the agency Insured Solutions since 2009 to today. And the blueprint in terms of how I actually did it with the tech stack, the offshore, nearshore talent, and digital marketing techniques that I use. So pick up a copy today on Amazon. Thanks, guys. No, that's smart to synergize it. I know it's a pain in the neck for
Huge.
the other agency primarily, because if they're used to certain processes, that changes, but hopefully it's for the better overall. Like you said, especially if they didn't have like an agency management system as well. And then what are you seeing as the main reasoning for like these acquisitions you've done for wanting to join your organization? Has it been to get access to more, growth opportunity because you have better markets, or yeah, I'm sure, of course, the owner wants to exit and get cashed out. In some cases, that's the primary driver. But is there anything else you're
Sure.
seeing as like the majority reason that you're seeing agencies looking to sell and then fit your model?
Sure. Yes, and it's a great question, and I think every agency owner is different, right? Some of them need to fund their retirement, right? Some of them just realize that they don't want to go in anymore and do, wear all the different hats that you have to wear as an agency owner. And then there's also recently, 2 years ago, one of the best purchases we've made was a younger agent. She was part of a small team of 4 people, and she wanted to be part of something bigger. And she didn't want to deal with the human resources. She didn't want to deal with the accounting. She really liked insurance and wanted to stick to insurance and working with her customers, but didn't want to deal with all of the other stuff. And at the same time, she wanted to continue to provide her customers with personal service, which is why she chose Duffy, as opposed to other options that she could have chosen. So I always say the value proposition that we have at Duffy is the same for employees, customers, and agency owners looking to sell, and that is we're going to pick up the phone when customers call. We're going to provide personal service. And that's going to be, post-merger. We don't use call centers. We handle customer inquiries, whether it's via text, whether it's via email or answering the telephone. We handle the calls in-house. It's a Duffy team member that handles it. And that resonates with a lot of people. Some agency owners, can't blame them. They want the most money, they want to sell, they want to retire and get out of business and get out of the business and move on. But that's not all agency owners. And we're very competitive when we do go in and offer make our offers. But I think what sort of sets us apart is that personal service, that family business feel that we're going to continue to have no matter how big that we get here at Duffy.
Right, versus the PE back roll up model where you got
Right?
your main parent type company um, there for mainly the roll up purpose, and they may or may not do a great job of the, family model.
Sure. And by the way, all the respect in the world to that to those doing the roll-ups. I think that works and we've seen that work, right? Whether it's PE or there's been banks that have gone around and have bought up agencies. It's just a different model. It doesn't make theirs right or wrong. They're obviously very successful in what they're doing. We need to be different, right? Because they're going to beat us they certainly have a bigger war chest, I guess is a better way of saying it. But I think we can offer some different things to agents that it's clear that they value, and that's personal service, that's continuing that hometown feel that their customers and employees do value.
And what about I'm more of a marketing head,
Mhm.
production head, in terms of like what I get excited about. What sort of things are you doing to help producers like get new business when you buy an agency now to help their growth? Are you offering, some training, some resources with database, marketing,
Yes.
telemarketing, advertising, anything you're doing there on a sales and marketing perspective?
Absolutely. So we do a ton of social media, and we do a great job. Nicole does a great job for us doing social media. So you'll definitely see us very active on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and that does generate a lot of organic inbound leads. Um, One of the things that we do that is unique to other agencies, other family and privately owned agencies, we pay commissions regardless of how the customer finds us. So this is attractive for those employees that you're talking about. Just because so and so knows me, or a new customer knows me, or got our name through a referral from one of my friends, doesn't mean that we're not going to pay commissions to the producer. So I hand off any leads that come through to me, or anyone that calls me looking for insurance. I'll assign that to a producer. In a lot of cases, it doesn't matter how big the account is, big or small. That will be assigned to somebody, and we do pay commissions. So we have a great presence on social media. We're very good about rewarding people for writing new business and giving good incentives to people. At the end of the day, that's the lifeblood of the business is new accounts that we can write and it will help us continue to meet our organic growth. And then we also have something that we created recently, Duffy Insurance University. We have a full-time trainer that we've hired that's created a curriculum to train new employees, new producers, new account managers. Everybody that starts at Duffy will go through Duffy University. It's a training program that we have someone internally that puts together and manages and runs it, and that's her full-time job. She's done a tremendous job there. So from training to commission opportunities and incentives, and a lot of the social media and marketing that we do, I think generates a lot of good opportunities for people.
Do you consolidate the account management service piece up into the main office, or is it all throughout the different offices that you purchased?
Throughout the different offices. So we have different account managers that sit in different offices. We do have remote employees as well that can remote into particular offices. But we do have account managers at each office. So perhaps there's someday that Duffy Insurance will have a central service office. Right now, all the service is done in each of the offices, and customers do appreciate that. Despite the fact that people are coming in less and less, we still do have those customers that come into the office and say hello. They appreciate driving, down Main Street and seeing the Duffy Insurance sign and knowing that they can go into the office if they need to. They can also text us, they can also email us, they can also call us. I think that's a nice little perk, is a nice little value add, is we're very flexible in how we can service our customers, and having the account managers in the office allows customers to stop in when they'd like to, when they want to come by and say hello, or need something done quickly, or in the area and have something insurance related that they need done, they can stop by.
Well, that makes sense. And then what about from a that's great about the Duffy University too, by the way. I think that's really smart that we've got some consistency in the training aspect, how things need to be done from a process, but it just,
Right.
helps everyone. I assume even, people that are been in the business a while could even benefit, from going through certain modules, I assume, based on their
That's right.
career,
And and everything ranging from insurance topics, from if it's a commercial lines account manager, there's CGL, there's commercial property, and then we also have just general business and business communications classes that are in the curriculum that everyone completes. So whether it's how to use Microsoft Teams or Excel, or just general business communications, writing emails, that type of stuff, writing effective emails. So it's a great curriculum that we've put together, and I think really helps onboard those new people, whether they come here via acquisition or if we're adding new people to the team.
Makes sense. And then what about new digital tools for AI, automation, things? Are you jumping into that space yet to help with operations or sales or everything? Have you guys designed anything for that?
Yeah, so we're definitely excited about AI, and I see it as a huge opportunity for us to be better, to offer better service to our customers. One specific example, we're switching to a new phone service that is going to help us doing customer activities and follow-up suspenses. It will just hear the phone call. It will transcribe it into an activity as opposed to having to type it out. And that's one example of an area where we're going to use AI. And there's a whole host of other areas, even from just business planning. And we use Copilot is the one that we use, and I use it as a thought partner, and just from a business planning standpoint, help with writing emails, reviewing emails before they're sent, all that stuff that has been a huge time saver for us. And ultimately, what it will lead to is us being able to spend more time giving our customers individual attention, as opposed to um, using AI chatbots or whatever that are going to replace the account manager. That's not how I look at how we're going to utilize AI. I think I'm really looking at it that it's an opportunity for us to be more efficient and really lean into the personal relationship, spend more time on the personal relationship and less time on typing up activity notes for 20 minutes after a phone call. We'll be able to spend more time being, consultative and relationship focused.
And then anything on operations like automating COI, the COI process through AI or accounting or anything of that nature, kind of the back office pieces? Have you started looking at that yet?
Yes, definitely. So we have a number of people that are on quarterly commissions payable, and we're getting help, just reconciling those quarterly commission statements. As you can imagine, there's probably 60 to 65 statements every quarter that have to be sent out to team members. They have to be reconciled and reviewed. And we're using AI. That's another specific example that we're using AI to help us make sure that that report that goes out is accurate, and the accounts on that report are should be payable or whatever. That making sure that they're accurate is one way on the accounting side that we're doing it. I also mentioned that we have a number of different corporations, and they're sort of legacy corporations from when we made those early on purchases. So Duffy Insurance is actually comprised of 8 individual entities, each with their own FEIN, which means that they each have to have their own P&L, tax return, licenses, etc. And when it comes time to doing our quarterly reports and submitting them to the bank, as you can imagine, that gets to be very cumbersome. And AI has really helped us pull all of the P&Ls together and then put them into one clean, nice, neat reports that we can then review and submit.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I'm excited about how it just improves, and saves time. Just a little
Mm.
bit I've been, playing around with like Claude and Cowork and, chats seem to be getting better too. And obviously Copilot, just, figuring out what those strengths and weaknesses are, to kind of help to just save a ton of time, which is what I've loved about it so far, just
Yes.
the limited use I have with it.
Yes, it's very exciting. And one of the things we're literally just starting to build, we're trying to build a recruiting database via AI that I'm really excited about. This is going to help us. We have a lot of long-term employees that have been with us a long time, and we've had I think 4 or 5 retirements here in the last few months. And then filling these positions is obviously a challenge. Finding good people to fill these positions is a huge challenge. So what we're doing is we're developing a recruiting database via AI, with the help of AI, I should say. And I think that's an exciting use when we were thinking about different ways that we could use AI that would help us in some of our pain points. Recruiting and recruiting was a big one. That's a big pain point for us. Finding talent, talent acquisition is hugely important. Obviously, it's going to be hugely important to the entire industry, and it's something that AI, I think, is definitely a great tool to help us with.
And do you have someone like working on the recruiting piece full time, or you outsource that, or how are you dealing with that these days?
So it's an internal team effort. We don't have one person on it. We do have an employee, a VP of Duffy that runs HR that's part of it, and our VP of insurance operations, along with myself. We're kind of teamed up together, working on building this out and coming up with a process of, okay, let's get these candidates that have applied to positions in the past into the database and then start adding them as they start coming in, and then set it up in a way that will allow us to search pretty easily and find the skills that we're looking for an open position in the database, and then continue to add to it.
Makes sense. And have you or are you using any kind of offshore or near shore for operational back office, the mundane task, if you will, or not? Have you not done that yet?
Sure. So we do have one virtual assistant that is offshore, and it's they're in South America, and they help with all sorts of back office. This particular VA came with an acquisition that we made at the end of last year, and like rave reviews, working very, very well. It's something that we hadn't done in the past. And we looked at it. Okay, let's use this as an opportunity to pilot this particular company and model, if you will, and see how it works. And it's working very well. So those back office mundane tasks, I think, are definitely something that we will look to add more virtual assistants because of the experience that we've had. I had been very hesitant to go that route, just wanting to keep the service in-house. But I think the real idea is that customer-facing stuff will always come from Duffy, and then the back office, that busy work, if you will. Hopefully, we can use virtual assistants or AI, or figure out a way to become more efficient. So that's really going to be our view on it, and not take away that personal relationship, not take away that customer interaction, because that is our value proposition. And I'd like to think that's why customers choose Duffy as opposed to a different option. They have some sort of personal relationship with us. So I
Right, kind
think
of
it'd
like
be
the AI. I
crazy.
think I've used a lot of back office in our MGA, world, from Colombia to India, and again, they never really interface with the front end, but it just our
Correct.
internal team loves it. It takes a minute to get people acclimated to that, to utilize it properly, and to, when there's problems, especially to not get frustrated and give up, but because of
Right.
communication issues and what have you, or time issues, but. Um, yeah, eventually, like the your onshore employees or in-office employees start to feel like now they have more time, and they're
Right.
not so stressed, and you feel like you can get more done without being stressed as an employee. So that
That's
seems to
right.
work well. And then I recently had on the podcast Walter Sabrin, who's done a lot of recruiting in the world, in charge of recruiting, and they launched a model that kind of incorporates the offshore to do a lot of the, outbound LinkedIn type work communication to sort of get things scheduled for your
Right.
team in the agency, right? And it's just
Right.
always ongoing at a very reasonable cost. You never stop. You don't just do it when you need somebody, is what Walter was saying. You're just
Yeah.
always recruiting, every
That's right.
single day, every month, like. and then it tees up to your team. So I don't know, there's a lot of cool new things going on how to integrate AI offshore, lower the pressure point on the staff, you know.
That's right. And two things to that. I went to Bentley, great business school here locally. And one of the things in one of the classes I took that the professor mentioned is you've always got to be recruiting. You want to be recruiting before you need to be recruiting. So we're in that mode now. We're really seeing that. That's a big challenge for us. It's a big opportunity as well to bring on new talented people to the Duffy team. But it's just to your point, you just always need to be in recruiting mode. And also, the account managers over the years, their job has become more and more intense. Yes, we're more efficient, we have better tools, but their job is intense because they're getting pulled from their manager or agency owner. They're getting pulled from the lender or the car dealership that is selling a car or a house that needs a certificate yesterday. They're getting pulled from the insurance company, the underwriter. They're getting pulled from the customer. So they're getting pulled from 4 or 5 different directions. And it's a very stressful seat to be in. The account manager's seat is very stressful. And it's a very important seat, obviously. So anything we can do, to your point, to lighten their load and help with some of that back office stuff is going to be money well spent.
Absolutely. And then that's kind of cool too, like you were saying, you're picking up new concepts during your acquisition, like when you mentioned
Yeah.
the one firm that was using offshore that allowed you to test it. Was there anything else you can think of like that in an acquisition that you picked up some sort of new operational talent slash process or anything come to mind there?
Yes. So, I mean, we've picked up a lot of great people that have all sorts of different ideas. As far as anything specific, off the top of my head, that is the number one example um,
Offshore.
is yes, offshore VAs. We've also recognized situations where, okay, we don't want to do that. We've made a ton of mistakes over the years and, picked the wrong product, picked, whatever. We've seen some mistakes that agency owners have made, and it's helped us to avoid mistakes, those
That's
same
good. Yeah, I
mistakes.
didn't think of that.
And this is an extreme example. But there was one agency that we had purchased probably 7 or 8 years ago now. And this is just really an easy one. They were still advertising in the yellow pages. And it's like, okay, we're not going to do that. So it's a quick, okay, let's cut that huge cost. And if I told you the amount that they were spending, you wouldn't believe me. Stuff like that. And then just different vendors that some of the agencies that we've purchased that we heard horror stories from the agency owner. It's helped us avoid going down that path. So I would say, it's helped us make some decisions and implement some new ideas into Duffy, but it's also helped us avoid some pitfalls and potential mistakes because especially when a lot of these insure startups were coming out, the last 3, 4, 5 years, it was very easy to get sucked into the newest shiny object and say, okay, we need that. Okay, then we need the next one, then the next one. It was very easy to sign up for these new services and products. And then ultimately they weren't great products or services that were too hard to execute or implement. So
Right.
um,
Or you just like I'm into that shiny object syndrome. I love tech. So
yes,
but and what happens is that you've got all of a sudden you've got 12 different things going on, and
that's
like a
right.
lot of it overlaps. No one still is coming, hopefully, but putting together everything into one system, that includes an AI type atmosphere for the AMS, and so on. But yeah, it's like
Very important.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
very
I got
important.
a phone system over here. I've got this system here. I was like, oh my
Yes.
God, I got subscription overload like Netflix and you
That's
know.
right. That's right. One of the things that we've really decided on when it comes to new vendors, really has to tie into our agency management system. It can't be something that's outside or doesn't have the ability to API or connect into the management system because we've learned it just doesn't work. If you have to put the data in separately or you have to go somewhere separate, it's really going to be a uphill battle for those account managers that have eight different people calling them asking for eight different things every day. It's going to be hard for them to learn a new system that's outside of their normal workflow if they have to go elsewhere. It's just very hard to execute.
PNC agents, have you run into Byberg, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company quoting workers' comp for either your prospects or clients? Well, great news. Insured Solutions, a national MGA, has an appointment that is set up to allow you to quote, bind, and service Byberg at your agency. And the coverage is in all states. It's A-rated. Startups are even accepted. There's 125,000 maximum premium. And some of the tough industries they write are construction, transportation that includes towing and parcel delivery, manufacturing, security guards that are armed and unarmed, motor mediation, and many more. So go to our website at insuredsolutions.net, click the Get Appointed link. We'll get you logins for you and your team and can set up a webinar for training if you'd like. Also, feel free to email info@insuredsolutions.net and I can handle the submission myself, or call 770-402-5343. Be glad to speak to you and give you more detail. Thanks. Totally get it. Well, Mark, this has been great. I mean, if an agency, either, employee or principal wants to give you a call to just, meet and talk, what's the best way to reach you typically?
Yes, my email, just Marc, MERC at DuffyINS.com is the best way to start the conversation. Like I said, I like to have the conversations with any agency owners that are just considering a sale or not even considering a sale because, and I always say this, the pace at which the acquisition or merger happens is dictated by the seller. It's not dictated by me or anybody else. And I don't push. I'm not one of these hard sales guys. It's something that is a huge decision for the agency owner and something that they've built up in many cases for their entire career. And it's very they're emotionally attached, and I get it. I've sat down with enough agency owners to really see the passion and love that they have for their people, for their customers, and the business. And it's not something that I take lightly, and it's not something that we push on or make it transactional. And which is really why we push that personal relationship. There have been agencies that I've met, and we've talked about a potential purchase, a sale, and 8 years later it happened. So it's a long process and something that even if somebody's just looking to bounce some ideas off of or have some questions, I'd be happy to sit down with any agency owner.
No, I think that's a great approach, just to kind of keep it free flowing, so that people don't get worried that the info will get out on the street, that they're
Right.
looking to possibly sell. I mean, just starts with a conversation. I've been through some of this myself, as we discussed, and you always, as a seller, you're worried about that whole process, getting out to your competition and everything else. But the way you're doing it and that kind of keeping it local in a way at the moment seems to be a really good idea, and not growing too quickly and too fast. It sounds like you're doing it in the right pace.
That's right. And I said that recently. One of my early on mistakes was trying to grow too fast. When I got into the business when I was 21 years old, I wanted to 10x the business the first 3 months I was there. And I think controlled, manageable growth is a much better way to grow, which is why I'm so attracted to the M&A side because it is more controllable. It is more manageable. You know what you're buying. You can roll it in. You have systems, carrier contracts, etc that you can link up and it makes it easier, more manageable, I should say, because it's certainly not easy. But it's more manageable to I think grow via acquisition and go a little slower and be a little bit more controlled.
Got it. Congrats again on your 30th anniversary in the business and the growth you've had and I appreciate you coming on and I know some people that may get in touch with you are going to enjoy the conversation as well.
Eric, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed being on with you.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
All right.
Thanks again for tuning in to Insurance Shop Talk. If you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest trends, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm Eric Stein, and this has been Insurance Shop Talk.